All right, morning. Yes, so we'll we'll recap what we did yesterday from the very beginning. Uh, we started with installing add-ins to our UFT tools, which we did something called it's called the WTF, which is a Windows WPF. It's a Windows presentation foundation, and when we actually installed our UFT, we did not install .NET framework into our add-in. So we had to go back and do the setup again from our download. So what we did, we went to, I think in my download folder, if you go to your previous download UFT, there is something called setup. So what we did, we double click on that, and it asked us to basically go through the same step a little differently, and it gives you a pop-up to do you want to install the prerequisite or not, and then you click on OK. And what we did, we said okay, and then verify whatever the requirements we had. I checked for all the prerequisites and looking for the computer space if your computer is not, enough space to allocate that. Sorry, can you repeat that again?
Sam.
Yes.
Good morning. Did I miss anything, bro? I just got in.
No. We are just going over a little recapping of what we did yesterday, maybe like 10 minutes, and then we'll continue.
All right.
So we are showing how did we set up the .NET add-ins.
Yeah.
And then once you click on next, it gives you the option change, repair, and remove. We did went to change, and once we came here, it gives us the setup option to install all the add-ins. So in our case,
just one second, Brother Shamsu.
Yes.
Okay. I'm on the UFT. What the option is selected? Sorry, I was off yesterday.
You see that .NET.
No. For this one, I'm at the first page, HPE Unified Test. So what option is selected?
Okay, go back.
The setup.
Yeah, basically you just follow the step, or the first setup. You click on double click on setup and just continue.
Yeah.
Okay. So once you do that, it's going to give you something like that. The welcome. Like right. It will do some processing like computing space.
No, the step before this one is when I click the setup, I get the first one. So which one I have to choose? Unified Functional Test Setup, right?
Yeah, the first option.
Okay.
Right here.
Okay.
Once you do that, it will ask you something to
verify that
pop up.
Microsoft.
Yeah.
Okay.
User. Yeah. And once you come here, you will have something showing, okay, you want to continue, and then it will do some processing in the background. Basically, what it does, it looks for the prerequisites previously you had and look if there is enough space in your RAM. And then once you have that, you just basically say next, and then click on change. And when you come to this window, this is basically the same one we did before, but in this case, we already have some default already selected prior to this. If you do not have the .NET selected, all you have to do, select .NET and first option. And here, if you expand it, it has Silverlight and the WPF. So, once you add the .NET, these two features already comes with it. So we're going to use the WPF add-ins for our testing for this particular application that we have covered yesterday. So all you have to do like .NET and then click on next, and basically everything is default, and click on change, and we'll install it. So I did install in my other machine. I'm not going to do it in here right now because I'll do something else in the future class. So That's why. And once you do just follow the default step and complete it and restart your UFT, and then you should be fine. So, okay, I'm just canceling out here and finish. So if I close my UFT, I'm just going to start my UFT from the very beginning, and I'll show you how it's going to look like. So I'm going to open my UFT. So what I actually mentioned about the how to create a template, the header template. So you have to do basically you open your notepad, right? And okay, I'm just gonna say okay. I need to cancel this actually. Okay, so yeah, I don't have a Notepad++ in this machine, but if you have a Notepad+, that also works, and Notepad also works. So open with, and I'm just gonna select Notepad. So you have something like that. If you, I'm going to put it in the chat window, so you will have that. Copy. Basically copy it into your notepad, open a notepad and copy the whole thing in here. And then what you will do, you click on file, save as, name the file name is action template, MTS. This is going to be your action name, the template name, and then select all files. And then in here, when you go to the go to your C drive, if you're using 64-bit machine, program files 86, then go to HP, Unified Functional Testing. Inside here, you will find something called DAT file. Open that and save it in that location. Click on save. And if I click on save, it's going to say you already have the existing one. Do you want to replace it? So since I already have it, that's why I get these messages. So I'm just going to say no. But in your case, you won't see the message box. If you see it, just say, replace it. Maybe that will replace with the new one. Itiab, are you there? I mean, were you able to do it? All right, great. So once you open your UFT, you will see .NET is already added. Along with that, WPF is there. So we will select only the WPF. You don't need the .NET here because the application we will be using is going to be WPF there. And click OK. So let it open the UFT. Let's go back to what we actually covered so far. So we started planning our test, and we gave the web app. It's saying web application, so we have to say it's a Windows application. Windows application functionality testing overview. So the application name is flight booking. Purpose to test the functionalities of the flight booking application. And then we provided some manual steps as we usually do for any application. We always do launch application, log into the application if there are any username and password. If there is any URL, if you're testing in an application on the Windows, you use the URL for that to navigate to that application. So in this case, then that doesn't apply to us for this application. And then enter some value to the application to perform some transaction, and then you process the transaction. So in our case, we log into the application, we enter our credentials and then log in, and we verify that we successfully logged in. The user, which is whoever the user was yesterday, and we verified that, and we did another transaction. I was booking a flight, and then we verified the booking was successful, and we captured the results, and we kind of compared the results and closed the app. That was our manual approach. And then similarly, we did the same thing with the UFT, and we automated that process. So our test case was, first test case was the open flight booking application, and the second one was login with a valid username and password. Third one was the user should be able to book a flight. And these are the three test cases we completed. This is a manual script you will be writing if you are doing manual testing, but this is just to give you the reference in between manual testing and the automation, how actually conversion happened from manual testing to automation. So the first test case, and then we had another column named test steps. In the steps, we provided the steps and the reference to the test case ID, and we also had a test steps. This test steps belongs to this test step sheet, which is here. And let me highlight it. So this column is referred to the test steps. So we can actually say we have, okay, in the test case ID, we have one step for the first one, open flight application, and then we had expected results, which is launch flight booking application, and we want to make sure it is launched successfully, then the status is passed. Second one was to log in with a valid username. If we go back to our the test case with the login, and one test case, and in this case we have 3 steps. That's why step 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, and the same test case ID, right? So we can refer, okay, it belongs to the test case ID 2, and login same description as basically you can say as the test case description. And the first step we did was enter username, enter password, click on button, which is OK button, and then verify John, which was the username, was successfully logged on or not. And then third test case was user should be able to book a flight, and we completed that process. And it was a third test case, and we had like about 9 steps. What we did, we selected departure location, we selected arrival location, we selected date, departure date, and we selected class type, number of passengers, click on button, flight button, and enter passenger order button, and verify order was successfully created or not. That's complete our third test case in manual writing, and also in the automation we open the flight booking application. That was our test, right? So if we click on file, open, we are going to continue on the test we completed yesterday and do a dry run. And if we open, so as you can see, we created an action. We said launch application. That was our first test. Okay, this is what automation is going to look like. And the entire test we did using an action. And then second one was login, and third one book a flight. And each of them has some coding we did yesterday from the very beginning, and it is in the shared drive. You should be able to open it and download it, and you have everything in there. And then the second test case was to log in. So the login, and we provided username, and we also covered the set secure password, how to encrypt your password. And then we verified the John Smith actually logged in, and we create a report based on our findings. And the last test case we did was book a flight. And in the booking flight, we did some, as you can see, the departure. Remember, we said select departure location. and then arrival, date, class, number of tickets, find flight, select flight date. Select the flight, and then select the flight, click on that, and then enter the passenger name and order. I think there are 2 more steps we need to add it into our manual test steps. Whatever steps we did, it is going to be the same steps. And then thirdly, we captured the value from the page. It's saying order completed, and we did something called compare 2 tags order and completed. And we said that was the first approach. So we just gave an example how you can do it the other way, basically comparing the text in using the position, text position. And then second one, we did the using the data table. And third one was the basically using the object repository and compare, make sure the order number completed is displayed in the page. And we only look for the order completed, not the dynamic number that generated. And that concluded our testing yesterday. So far, this is what we did, and we will run our test. And basically, if I click on play, it will run the complete flight booking test that we did, 3 test cases. And let's take a look at what we did. So we don't have to do it manually again and again. We already have the 3 test case coded. So all we have to do, just run it and be able to, log in. And the example that I gave, the second one for the data table, that one will fail. Because the data table had the number 94. All right, so this is what we covered so far. And I'm continuing with what we left off. And before we do, continue our test, adding more test cases into our test repository and enhance our script, I would like to give you a short quiz to make sure you understand some of the features that we covered. It's going to be a 10-minute quiz, like a 10 multiple choice. All you have to do, like whatever you understood so far, just select, and based on your understanding, you have to just submit that form. So the quiz location is in So if I click on edit, I have the quiz location in the shared drive. So I'm sharing this, and I want you all to open this file and provide your input. So this is the file you will find. So open that file, and it has some 10 multiple choice selection. So that will give you understanding whether these are like a basic interview question you will be facing. So that's why I gave you this to do some input on your end. So please feel free to spend like 10 minutes and complete that part.
I guess Windows presentation foundation.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go back to the first one. Which is scripting language? We all know it's the VB script, so that's clear, and everyone got that correct. What method to count the number of rows in a data table, right? So some of you said get row count. Let's test it out and figure out if it's correct. So let's create another action. We're gonna do it, name it as a quiz example or quiz test. Quiz check. And so we remember the data table method, right? Data table dot get sheet, right? In order for us to count the sheet, we have to first identify which sheet we need to use, right? So we can use get sheet here, and then we have to provide the name of the sheet. So we have like several of them. Each function created one of them, and let's take the first one, global. Okay, now we want to do something here. If we want to count the row, what options we have? Row count, anything, get current row, get parameter count. So we have something called get row counts method, get row count, right? And is that the correct answer? Get row count. Okay. And then the other question was select case statements end with. We have 4 different options. So we selected end select. Let's test it out if it's correct. Okay, if you type select here and press enter, it doesn't give anything. But if you say space here, it creates the whole statement. So it can end with and select, right? This is how you can tell and select. And then what is the extension of shared object repository? Remember the keyword shared object repository, not the local. So if we open our object repository, if you even put your cursor, you see at the end of the name of the flight location, it's saying .tsr, right? Another way of telling if you go to your automation folder, we store our object repository in the object repository folder, and it tells the extension is .tsr. So this one is correct. And which method retrieves a property of a runtime object? Some of you said get arrow property. Let's see if it's correct. So remember, if we go to our book a flight, I did something here to retrieve a data from the web page. It's saying get arrow property. Basically, on the Windows or the application that you will be testing, it has a bunch of properties and their value. And in order for us to capture, this is one way of doing using get arrow property and provide the property name, and it will capture the value if the property identified by the objects provided here. All right, so and then next one we had, this is probably a little confusing. Can checkpoints be parameterized? And some of you say yes, some of you say no, some of you say not sure. Okay, let's see what it gives us. Let's do a test here. Oops. Comment out this. And remember, we did something called the checkpoints. And if you click on record and record run test on any open Windows-based application. So we're going to select the first one because our application is already open, right? Say apply, okay. And the most widely used checkpoints is here. If you see the little magnifier bulb here and click on it saying select the one of the checkpoints. So we use the standard checkpoints. And if you click on that and click on the objects you want to check and click OK. I'm referring to this name here. So let's say our order completed text, right? So this is the name. Let's pick up the text as the checkpoints. Do we have text here? We don't. So we have something called name, right? So we can select name, and is this can be parameterized or not? And I select parameter and put it in my data table. This is what it's referring. Can the checkpoint be parameterized? So yes, the answer is yes, we can. And if we click on it, and it should create this step, and it's saying checkpoints. And if you go to your the quiz data table, it already created the value automatically for you. Copied that and it's provided the name, and that's how you do the parameterization. So the answer is yes to this one. And the number 7 was the UFT script file extension will be some of you said .vvs, which is Visual Basic extension, and I don't know if anyone said text, but is this text or the VBS or MTS? And most of you answered .mts. So how do we know if it's MTS? Remember, when you create a test, it creates some folders for you automatically, right? So let's go back to our script folder, automation, and we put our script here, and we did flight booking test. This is our test we created, and it created some actions here. These actions is a default created. It's not going to be the same name as our script here. It's gonna look different, but default you can point out, okay, 0 is a default. It has nothing in there, but it's starting from 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1 is our launch application, 2 is our login, 3 is our book a flight, 4 is the quiz. So let's look at the one just we created, and it gives me the date and timestamp. So it looks like this is the latest one, right? And if you go in there, in the folder, there is something called script. And this is where you see exactly the same line I have written here. So let's right mouse click on that script and open with, you will be opening with Notepad. Or if you have Notepad++, you can do that. And basically, it's going to create the same thing here. The reason for me here is the line number 29 is not there. Can anyone tell me why I don't see these lines I did it? Why it's not showing here?
I believe the script you didn't save. That's why it's not showing here.
Okay. All right. Let's see if we save it, if it's actually true. Let's test it out so we can see and I saved it. So let's go back to our folder, and that's the time, and it's a global time, so don't worry about the timestamp, but the date is the one most important. So let's view again, open Notepad. Make sense? So this is our script. So what we are looking at is the file extension of the script, right? How do I know the file extension? So you will have to right mouse click, go to your properties. Most important, because sometimes it's confusing to find where is the file extension is actually located. And if you go to the file type of file, it's saying it recorded as some type of video, but it has the extension .mts. This is where you'll find it. So try to remember. This is something will be asked. Definitely, if someone is working in the tool and knows about tool, knows a lot about the tool itself, he or she will be asking you this question. .mts. So this is how you get the file extension. All right. So file extension is this. Let's go to the next one. Why can't I go down? Not taking me down. Let me refresh this page. Let me close this browser and open it again. I think it's Java. Okay, let's go back again. What is the link to? Okay. All right. So now, what is the full name of the file extension .tsr? Test script repository, because the shared object repository belongs to the test script. That is the name extension, and we have to select test script repository. What does uCase function do? And most of you said, okay, converting string to uppercase. And if you said the converting the uppercase, uCase, you mean uppercase, this case, uppercase. If you say lowercase, it's gonna say lowercase. So let's do some test if it's actually valid or not. So if I have a, let's say I declare a variable called str text1, right? And then str text1 has some string. Let's say everything is lowercase. This is my string, right? And if I want to convert it, so let's do a message box. We want to pop up in a message box, and if I say uCase, right, it's a function, and if I provide str text text1 and run it from here, see what's actually happening. So you see, I wrote in a lowercase, now it's converted into a uppercase. Similarly, you can use the L case. So let's say I have another variable, dim string2, and then my string2 would be string2 is uppercase. This is my string, and let's do another message box. And let's say if I want to convert my string2 to lowercase, right? L case, and all you have to do, provide that string too. Let's run it, both of them, so we'll see the difference. So first one is uCase, converting the string text1, str text1, it's converted, and then if you go to the next one, see our str string, this is my string2, and it converted to lowercase. So, you know, sometimes you will see the text, if you want to compare the text. Yesterday we did something called, you know, order number, and C was lowercase, so sometimes it fails, so you want to utilize this function to, you know, make sure the case is, you know, written in order. And then what does the WPF stand for? You know, WPF stand for Windows Presentation Foundation. Okay. Did we select all? Okay, so let's go back. Team. Okay, BB script again. Get out of property. Select cases and select, right? What is the extension shared object? TSR, right? Method to retrieve objects from the web page. Property of the objects. Get out of property. Checkpoints can be parameterized. Yes, we can parameterize. UFT script file extension will be MTS. The .bbs is going to be when you create a function, you will be saving the BB script. If you write your own code, you can save it as a .bbs, and you can associate it with your test as to use the functions or any script that you write. Most likely, you'll be using functions for the .bbs file. Let's submit it. What it gives. View score. And you all got 100 out of 100. Congratulations. All right. So that's the basically the 10 interview questions you will be face most likely at least a couple of them in your interview. Make sure you do practice and try to understand those, and there will be more will be coming up in the future class. All right, so now we did the booking, order our booking. Can we actually, what is the next test case we can do at this moment? So if we are to do, can we delete our test, or can we do something else? So let's click on new search, right? And then we did book a flight. Can we search the order? I mean, whatever the order we actually created, can we actually look for that order if the order is actually stored in the database or not? We can do a search by the order number. We can do a search by the date. We can do the a bunch of other options we can select. So if I do it manually, I say, we did something called, if I want to do the name, I think we did Akhtar yesterday, right? AKTER.
Yes,
and if I do a search, let's see how many orders we created yesterday for Akhtar. So we actually submitted from 87 to all of these orders we submitted yesterday. And we can select one of these and we can modify the name. Let's say I'm saying, okay, we gonna say some other name here. Let's put Amit, right? And say enter or search. Now do a search by Amit. Is it there?
No.
Nothing. Because why? Because we didn't place an order anything with Amit. Let's do it by date. So we can select. Today we don't have any flight. We didn't create. Yesterday we did, right? So let's do search by date yesterday. Nothing. I remember we selected. We planned to go on Monday, which is 16, and that was the date we selected, and it was Akhtar.
Okay.
And do a search, and it also bring the flight. So we need to make sure we can do this different parameter value to see if all this parameter works with the name, with the date, with the order number, and so on. So let's do an order number. We can just now we created order number 95. Let's do the order number 95 and search by the order. And it brought the order here and it gave me the name. Now we can actually modify the name. I think that we can modify. If not, we have to delete it and recreate it. So that's another option. So let's delete this one, right? I deleted. Are you sure you want to delete? And if I delete it, it got deleted. So let's do a search again by 95, and it tells me order deleted. So we need to verify the order gets deleted. And then if I do search 95 again, let's see what happens.
Does not.
We need to verify. It does not exist. So that means the application works as expected. It got deleted. That's why it gave me an error message. Order number does not exist. So all of this, we can create a scenario, test cases, and enhance our test script and develop a script that actually tests end-to-end testing of this application. So let's continue where we left off, and from there we'll keep on adding. And once we actually add the function base, we will develop our script to make it like a descriptive wise, create functions, and how we can actually make it more efficient as we go. So next thing we'll do is, so once we place an order, let's close this and let's get to the page where we are in. So we don't need, we can comment out this. We just did it for demonstration. We can comment out this piece, and we only interested to use this one because that validates the order been placed. And we can delete this as well.
Completed.
Yeah, we don't need this, any of this. Okay. All right, so save it. And if you go to the start page of the, if you click on the flight booking test, it gives you the all the order, you know, the test we created. You can move, you know, top to bottom. If you do like, you know, hold your mouse and you can place in an order however you want. So this is correct. You know, this is the order it should be: launch application, login, book a flight. So let's run it one more time, and then from there we'll add the next test case. And in that case, I need your help to do the testing because we're working as a team. So, you know, make sure this is a team effort and we all are doing together. All right, so 3 test cases executed without any error. And if we look at our report, coming up, so report is giving the details info of our script, right? And expand all. If we go to minimize this, and you will see more details. So it's saying launch application successful, and the custom report is created for us, and login is successful, custom report. Anything you see with a check or cross and then next to it check is the reporter.report event we created. And then book a flight, all these steps. These are all, this is a test case name, and these are all the steps we performed so far for this. And then our booking was successful. So now we have to create another test case. The next test case will be, what would be the next test case we can think of? If you are, you know, working and testing this application, what would be the next test case? Can anyone give me help me with that, creating that test case? Anything, you can select anything.
Order details.
Order details, what I do in the order details. Okay, someone said deletion. Can we delete the order?
Yeah, we can
delete. We can delete an order. So in order for us to delete an order, what do we have to do? Either click on here, right? And that will be just delete an order. But are we going to delete the one we just created, or do we know which one to delete?
Yeah.
Okay, so once we create the order, we want to delete that order, right? So we can create another test case saying, okay, delete order, right? Okay. Make sure the delete order works. Okay, so delete an order, and users should be able to delete an order.
Okay.
And we can leave it as a, you know, reusable action. So this action can be used for other tests. Anyone can reuse this action. So by default, it creates our template, and we just have to provide the date 04 15 2018, right? So what do we have to do? So let's go back to our shared object repository and share with this folder, right? We shared with all the actions. So we have to share with the delete one, so we can actually reuse the object. So go to the resource, associate object repository, and it will show the delete object is available to use with this object repository, right? So all you have to do, move it here and click OK, right? And now we can open. You can open it from anywhere because it's the same object repository we are maintaining. So we have to do is click on plus sign, and I can just take all the objects in here. Click on the first Windows and select all. It's taking everything from this page. See that all the objects is added to here from the very beginning. So now we need to identify, where is the delete box that we saw in here. The delete thing, is it showing here? So we can do either click on that, the circle here and click on delete icon, and it's gonna say okay, it's a WPF button, and let's click on OK. Where is it? So it's saying WPF button. So let's rename this because we don't understand by this, WPF button. To make it more, logical name. Delete, just a delete, and highlight it again. Make sure we got it right and save it. So now we can either drag and drop it here, or we can just write the way we do it, right? So let's go back and drag it here. So basically I can do this way, or I can also say okay, WPF window, and first parenthesis, it will give you the whatever available, and then I can say WPF button, right? It's a button, we know. And if I put my first parenthesis, all the buttons available in the page. So we just rename it as a delete, right? So let's select this and click on it and dot click, right? So basically it's the same line, two way you can do it. So that's just showing you again. Okay, so we have the delete icon. So next thing we have to do is once we click on delete, it's gonna say we want to verify, are you sure you want to delete this order? We need to verify if the delete message is showing when you click on delete. So this is the checkpoints you can use, or you can use something saying, okay, if I click on the delete button, if this thing comes, I want to say, okay, verify using either get arrow property, get that object property, or I can use the checkpoints to do it. So let's do the, since we did the quiz with the checkpoints, and we can just put a record and just put the checkpoints in there. Click on that magnifier bulb thing, and the first one, standard checkpoints. Once you click on it, you can do just click anywhere on the text, and it will say it's a text, static text, and it gives me the all the name, whatever the text is showing on there, it's there. So from here, I can rename it delete checkpoints, right? I can say delete checkpoints, and so these are all the object properties and different properties I can use. I can, if I check the focus, do I need to use the focus enabled is true, I can leave it as default, but I'm more interested with the text, make sure I'm seeing the text is showing as it is. So you can either leave it as a constant, or you can parameterize, right? You can put it into your data table and make sure it is there. So let's do a parameterize, since it was a part of our quiz, and we can, instead of the name, whatever the name it created, the column name, we can say same name, we can rename it again. Okay, let's do. I don't think it's allow me here, but I think it will allow me to do it here. So if you click on little icon, it doesn't allow you to change it here. But if you want to change it, you have to click on that little pencil and paper icon, which is the parameter options. So click on that, and then you can either select your data table or you can set it as the environment. Remember, we did the environment. This is also another way of doing it, or you can, create a random number. So let's leave it as a data table for now, and then name it as a delete check, text check, right? Text checkpoint. All right. So are we going to use it in a global sheet, or are we going to use it in the local? So if you say global, it will store in a global sheet. But if you say current, it will be on the specific sheet that belongs to the delete and order action. So let's try with the global sheet first, how it looks. Then we can go do another one with the current action sheet, right? And then you can also use the regular expression and use the formula. All this can be done. Basically, the regular expression, you can use the dot star to, basically if you want to just check a specific text, and after that you want to ignore. Another way of calling dot star is the wildcard, or you can also use some other the available regular expression that you can utilize, like a backslash and bunch of other text. So let's leave it as it is for now and click OK. And the timeouts. So the timeouts is basically, remember I mentioned about the synchronization point, is a 10 seconds wait. Basically, when you come here on that web page, if this thing doesn't come within 10 seconds, it's going to fail. But it will not wait, exact 10 seconds. As soon as it sees in the first second or two, it will go to the next. This is just like as if we applied dot exist and then provide some time seconds to wait. This is exactly the same thing. So click OK and stop the test, right? Okay. All right. So we have the click button, and then click on that button, and then checkpoints, right? So if you go to your object repository now, so save. Do I have that checkpoints added here? No, right? When you record, it actually added into your local. So we need to make sure, if it's local, it just belongs to this test only. It's right here on the whole thing that we created. It's in the local, and these things also in the local. So we have to kind of find way to merge this between the shared object repository. Make sure we don't put anything in the local. We make sure we merge it in the shared object repository. Okay, we'll come back to that in a moment. Let's complete that test first. Okay, the next step is to click on yes or no, right? So what we do here, we have to add that. Let's see if we have it in our object repository. Let's say WPF button. Do you have yes or no? Is there yes or no? Anything? We don't know. It doesn't tell me whether I have a yes or no in here. So what I have to do, if I want to add this or find out this line exists or not. Can anyone help me?
I think this object is not available in the share object repository. So we have to add this object of these properties in the share object repository. Then you will you can use it.
Okay, let's try to see if we have it in the object repository. So let's go to open our object repository. And remember, we can use locate in the object repository. Let's click on it. Let's see if we have yes in there. So let's click on OK. It's saying cannot locate this object in the object repository. So that means this object was not added in our object repository. So this is like a different window. When we clicked on, we added all the objects showing in these windows, but once we click on delete, this is some other window came up. So it was never added into our object repository. You are right, yeah. All right, so what we have to do is we just have to add this object, or we can just add everything on this notification window at one shot. So let's do the entire dialog box notification and click OK. And click all objects, and it will just add those. So now save this subject repository and click on notification. So it's give me the are you sure? It's in there. Static is the, so we can check all these fields basically, and then no, yes, right? So in order for us to delete that, we have to take that into our, the script, drag it here. All right, so we can say, okay, we had the checkpoints to add. So that's the checkpoints. Let's put a comment here. Points. And now the other way that you can actually verify that text is there or not. So remember, in our repository, there is something called static was added. So we can just take this, drop it here, and we know this is already with a statement. Can take this out. And if I say if dialog box notification and the static, are you sure you want to delete, which is coming from my object repository, it has all these properties. So let's add something that's saying, are you sure you want to delete? So if we say the text, let's take the text here. So we added text, and so it is in our description properties. So let's click OK and save it, saying expected and e parentheses here. So but we didn't complete the text, the sentence. So dot exist, and let's give it 5 seconds or 10 seconds. Let's give it 5 seconds max, and then we can say then the statement and if, and we can do the report, whatever the report we want. The reporter dot report event, and we can say if this exists, then we can say pass, and then our step is to step was to delete an order. That was our step, and the details delete confirmation, right? Confirmation text displayed. We can say this else. If it doesn't, we want to fail the test. So we can say reporter dot report event. Now, if I want to fail it, what is my option? Is it fail, pass, warning? Obviously, if it doesn't exist, we want to fail the test. So we can say make fail, and the step name would be same. delete an order. Then it said delete confirmation text does not exist. Not exist. Something that makes sense to the user. And so this is another way of doing, as we did the text validation. And this is the way you do the checkpoint. So those are recorded script we created. So let's run this and see this test actually pass or not. Put a breakpoint here and run from the steps. Okay, looks like I have two windows open. Let's see what happened, okay? Because I previously had one. So it's basically waiting 10 seconds, trying to see if the text present, because it's showing in the two places right now. I had one open previously, which I did it manually. Now it's open the second one. And saying cannot identify the objects, right? So let's put a debug and close the one we previously created. So we have one. Let's try it again. It went, right? Now see if are you sure you want to delete this text is showing, which is in the object repository. Remember, we showed. Are you sure you want to delete this? If it exists, it's going to report it passed. And click on OK. Yes. Okay. So we have one is to checkpoints. It's basically the checkpoints and the text validation. These both of them are same. So if you look at your results, is both of them doing same thing in two different ways. So we had that fail, and one time we failed, and it shows the screen that you had the two windows open. So you know why actually it failed. It confused which one to delete. We can overcome this by assigning an index, like looking at the first one, as the index is 0. We could solve that, but that is not the solution. We want to see it fail because we should not get two check notification. We should get only one notification. So that's the valid fail. And then we said no to one, and then it recognized the one it looks for, right? So let me open that results again. And then if we go to the test flow, so that was the one valid fail, and then it's saying standard checkpoints. So let's click on this and see the details of it. It's saying delete checkpoint. This is the name we gave, right? And then it's saying standard static. Are you sure you want? This is the name coming from here, static text. And then the object path, wherever the object is coming, is from the Windows WPF Windows, and it has some properties. So we use these are the properties we use in the object repository to identify are you sure you want to delete this text, this objects, and then it passed the test. So that was the checkpoint, the standard checkpoint. And then we use something called the check validation into the object repository. So that's also the similar, but it's not a standard checkpoint. It's just the .exist method we use. If are you sure you want to delete this order? If this text is present, exist or not, then it will delete. And then we also, for this, we create a custom report which saying delete an order, delete confirmation text displayed. This is what created, and then we click on yes. So now, in order to complete our test for this deletion, we have to make sure also order deleted text is showing here. It's basically the same thing we did for the booking a flight. Remember here? So we can use one of these. We can use the first one, We can use the second one. We can also use the checkpoint. We can also use the .exist property method. So any of these will work. So let's do a checkpoints again. This time we'll do different checkpoints. We just want to try out different things. We can say, okay, text checkpoint, right? And click on here and click OK. Now it's going to say text checkpoint is look different, a little different than what it was. It's saying check that order 96 deleted is displayed. You see that? Text checkpoints is a little different, and you can provide all kinds of things you want, and it will be there. So let's leave it as it is, or you can say exact match, however way you want, and it will do all these conditions. So these are all plain English. You can play with it and understand. So let's leave it as it is and stop the test, stop the recording, and then save it. So I can say standard checkpoint. And text points. So this script is saying order 96 deleted. So since every time order is going to change, we need to make sure this this is something we can actually put a regular expression and make sure we can confirm this is not something we want to use. So we can either say, okay, we want to provide a regular expression here, and we can say number of way. We want to make sure I can just say, okay, I want to check the deleted is actually showing in the page, or if I want to check, doesn't matter, I just want to check the order and delete. Same thing we are repeating like yesterday. So I can either say, okay, dot star bracket close dot star. I'm just looking for this, and you have to check the regular expression. And okay, let's see if it actually pass this right mouse click, run from the step. Okay, let's see if it pass or not. Check. See the description. Check. Test checkpoint captured. Deleted. Regular expression was used. No match case. Of other properties was turn off and on. However you set it up, it will put everything in there. So that also passed. So we were only looking for the deleted text is showing on the page, right? So this is passing. So let's run this again and delete another one. Some other order. So what we have to do, we can say search for an order. Let's give an order number. So if we do a 96, it's gonna say this order doesn't exist. We can also add that into our delete functionality. Make sure the delete order is deleted actually from the database. This actually tells if it's deleted from the database because it's not there. If you say 95, it's probably going to bring something. If not, it was deleted also. Let's try some other one. 94. This one also deleted. Harvard 93. 93 is there. The 93 is there. So if I want to delete this, let's try this one. I want to delete 93. See if we have error, and then we'll fix our test based on that. Okay. So everything looks good. So we can delete an order. So that conclude our test to, delete an order. But we can actually add more step to it. Make sure we search by the order number if we know the order number, and make sure the order 93 was deleted. 93, and search by it. We should check, make sure if it's showing as the error message saying it doesn't exist. So to do this number, we have to know all this number, order number. So we can do something, from the beginning when we place an order, create an order, we can say, okay, we want to capture the order number and store it in our data table, and then we will go, create, data driven to, place multiple order in every time we do it, and then we want to make sure we can delete it. So if we delete everything from our data table, let's say from order number 1 to, all of those orders, then we'll start from the very beginning of our test. We can do that, and that way we know which order. Or alternatively, we can, every time we place an order, we have to capture the order number, then we will be able to delete that order. So we can say, okay, we can enhance our previous script where it's saying, capture the order number and store it into our data table as an order number, and then every time we delete it, we know our order number is exist. So let's enhance a little bit on this script. Going back, so we can say, we can go back and let's put a breakpoint and run entire test and see how we can enhance our book a flight and get the order number and store it in a data table. So it will help us to verify the, once we delete, we want to make sure we are able to delete it from the data table. We'll do a search order and then search by order number, and then we have to provide order 1 and then click a search and then delete make sure we get this error message. So this is another checkpoints we can do. Make sure we are getting it. If we don't get this error message, even after we delete it, that means there is a problem with this application. This could be a bug that you have to report to the team. And the way you report it in automation, all you have to do, maybe just, email this report. It will allow you to, save this report and send it as a zip file or share it with the team, and they will get all the info they need. And then, how to, reproduce that error. So let's take maybe 10, 15 minutes break, I think. I don't know if you guys are agree. It's 11:30 now. We can take 15 minutes break and come back maybe 11:45. If you guys are all okay with that. And I will, once I come back, we'll, continue on that, because I want to actually do at least one test case into a descriptive and use a function library before we actually close today's session at 2:30. So then from next week and moving on, we'll completely focus on framework and make sure we are able to, create a framework, because this is the end goal for automation. You have to create a framework that can be reused across the team. So everything we covered from yesterday and today, most of them are covered in the past, and we are repeating with a different approach, different way of doing it, because in interview you might be getting the questions that I'm covering yesterday and today. A lot of them will be asked related to the tools and some of the VB scripting. So let's come back at 11:45 and we'll continue from there. All right, we are back from the break. I hope I actually updated the spreadsheet a little bit while we all are in break. All right, let's go back to our where we left off. So we wanted to capture the order number if we delete it. So let's get the order number. So let's create a data table. We can store it in a data table, or we can store it into environment variable, whichever way we want to store it. So let's first do it into a data table. So order number, and so we have to store this into the data table. So we can say here, we can see a couple of things. At the end of our test, we might want to say, okay, we want to store it in a data table. So let's put a checkpoints, store in, or store order number in the data table. Or we can say global data table. Global data table, because it's in the global data table in column order number. This is a comment. So the way we do it, we know the order number. It's been captured here by getter property. So all we have to say, when we store something, we have to from the right to the left. So we basically have to say data. So let's put it here. Data table. Data table. Then we give the name of the sheet, which is we get name of the column, which is order number, and then we provide the name of the sheet. So in our case, it's a global. And if you say equal to order number, so we whatever the order number we capturing, we are storing into here in the first, because we are not doing any loop, so it's going to be in the default to the first row, and this cell value here it will be storing. So when we capture it, it's going to say order number, order 96 completed, something like that. But we might want to take off, order number, just take the order number only. So I'll show you how to do that in a moment. Let's run the test and put a breakpoint here, and we'll see how it goes. So let's start our entire test, run the entire test. Once logging in, now we are providing all the info to place our order, and we selected the order, we gave the passenger name. Now it's saying the order number. So if we capture this, it's going to capture order 97 completed, right? And then it will say, okay, order number 97 completed. It will store in here once we go to the line number 63. So let's look at the local variable, how it looks. We have order number, that is string we created. Basically, those two variables got generated. So we are using only the first one right now. So let's go and continue. So we have the order number. And now if we go in here, we are doing a checkpoint, order number exists, and then report that. And now we will be storing into our data table. Let's go to order number, see if we have order number, global sheet, and then we are passing the whatever the value in the order number, which is order number 97 completed. So let's put it here, and then we already have captured that, right? So let's go back, delete order, click on delete. Looks like it didn't click on the delete, right? Okay, it came in. it took some time to come in. Let's click on, do you want to delete? That the first checkpoint is done. Next one is the text validation checkpoint that we added. So there are two of them we use. It got reported. Do you want to delete? Yes. And order got deleted. Now we are putting another checkpoint to make sure the deleted text is present in the page. And we verified that, and we deleted, right? So now what do we have to do? We have to go back to our delete order. We have to perform another check to make sure it is deleted in the from the database. So in order to do that, we have to first click on search order, and then click on the radio button, which is the search by the order number, and then we have to provide that 97 here. So in our data table, since we close it, it's gone here. But basically, it shows order number it's created, which is this, right? Let's put this whole thing in here. Copy this, just to show you how it's gonna fail to read. So if we say, okay, if we want to search by the order number, whatever text is showing, it's not gonna find. So let's paste it here, and order number completed search by this. It's going to say enter a number, right? We need to enter. We can't enter strings in here. It has to be integer or the number, just 97. So we have to get that instead of the 97. So what we can do, if we go back to our book a flight, in here we can do something. We can use some built-in function to take the order and 97 removed, right? So we can say replace. We can use the replace function. Replace. There is a function called replace, and if we say replace and it give me the expression, and find, it's gonna give me a find what? Let's say find order, 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 double quote, and replace with empty. So basically we are removing the order and close it. Now we also have completed leftover, so we can put another replace function. Say replace, and here we can say okay, comma, and it's going to say find. Now we can say completed, then remove the completed with nothing, empty string. So basically it will remove the completed text, and what we have left over is going to be 97. So we want to make sure there is no space. We can use another function called trim, right? You can call as many functions as you want inside your string, or anything you would do it. You can convert all these text into different form. So if I say trim, we know trim takes the space before and after. And if I say, so basically what I'm saying, first thing I'm saying, okay, trim, whatever you find before the string value str, take that out. So from here, first we did, okay, we said replace the order number, order, and replace with empty string. So we taking off the replace, and then we said, okay, replace again with the completed, and then we also said after you replace the order and completed, we will left off with the 97, and we want to remove all the text. You can write this way. Another way, I'm going to show you the other way to make it clear, so you will understand it, and let me know if it's still confusing. All right, so basically I'm writing this or again in different format, right? Let's do this. So I'm just going to comment out this part, and let's start from the first one. So if I say order number equal to order number, right? What it does is basically saying, okay, order 97 completed equal to 97 completed. So now if I say first let's use replace, right? First replace, and first replace was find a order and replace with empty string. So now my order status will be replaced with order. When I run it, you'll see it. Next, basically what I'm doing, if I say, okay, now replace not order, now replace with completed, which is COMPLETED, completed. Now I said, okay, replace with completed with empty string. It will say, okay, now I will see the 97 is showing. Next thing, I want to remove all the space before and after 97. So I can say, okay, stream, and stream only accepts the string. The way you know is basically, let's remove everything, stream, and it's saying, okay, give me a string only. So we have to say str, order number, right? Order number. So these three lines, basically this line, it's just telling me I put it in one line, and I can also put it in 3 different lines, just to give you, how you can do it. So let's put a breakpoint, and we're going to go one at a time. Let's take this out. We don't have anything here. We're going to capture it at runtime. So that's the dynamic way of getting it. And we are running our test again. So basically, we are placing another order. Logging in, and then we placing another order. So we know that order is completed. It's going to get that value. So if you go to local variable, it's going to populate that number, 98, right? Order 98 completed. And then we are doing all our checkpoints here. Make sure, okay, now this is the case where let me clean out the log. So now what it's showing is, if you go to your local variable, so we have str string, make it bigger. We have str order number is 97 here. So the first thing I'm doing, I'm saying, okay, replace order. So whatever the order word, it will replace by the empty string. There will be no order. So let's go continue. Okay, if I say, now what happened? It's saying order got replaced by empty string, which is there is a little space in there. And then only thing we have 98 completed. That's all. The next thing we are doing on line 66 is removing completed, right? Let's remove the completed. Now you see we have only 98. Don't worry about the string type or what it's showing, because we just need the number. As long as we pass that value into web Windows, the application, it will still accept it, because it automatically converted when it passed the value. Okay, now we are trimming this space. You see that there is a 2 space after and before. So let's see if that gets replaced by this space. See, it got changed. Now if we go to our data table, this is the place 69 where we basically saying the same thing again. It won't fail, because if it doesn't find the order number, it's gonna just ignore it. I didn't find it. It's not gonna fail it. Still gonna do the same thing. So let's run it. Go back to your spreadsheet. See, the order number is just saying 97 now, 98. Whatever the number it generated every time, it will store it here. So we can reuse that to confirm our deletion from the database, right? So let's stop it, or we can delete it. Yeah, we continue our test and just, be done with it. Order got deleted. Okay. So can anyone tell me, why do I need this? Can I replace this with something? What can I replace? I need the answer from one of you. instead of, because we are basically writing the same thing we wrote here, I don't need to write this again, right? What can I put it here in order to store my order number into the data table? Anyone speak up?
Create a function for it.
Create a function for it. Because I actually basically wrote the same line here in 3 different, lines, and I just need the order number. So what would be the text here to put my order number into the order number table?
Oh, can't you just put in STR order number?
STR order number here. So basically, if I comment out this line, and I can say, is that what you're saying, Selena?
Yeah, I might be wrong.
Okay, and anyone else? Siddiq, you said did you say the same thing, or you had different thoughts?
Yeah, I said just to call the data table, but you did it on the data table and the other one the global. To recall it from the data table.
Okay. Shamam, you have any thought? Shaun, Amit, Akhtar, or Itiyab?
Yeah, you can replace that with a string order number. It makes sense, but I don't know. I'm trying to see what else you can include in there.
Okay. So what I did, I replaced the order text and what I had here. So basically, this line, this str string order number. If I run this line, my str order number will be equal to like this, right? Space something 98, I think, completed, right? This is what I had. Right? I should get after I run this, because I know that str string number at the beginning of the line. So if I say str, this is what I get, right? This is just for comment, I'm saying, and I'll just so I had this thing order. No, that was a caps order 98 completed. This is the original text I had, the order number equal to. I'm getting it from here, right? This line 34. I said get arrow property from the when it's saying order 98 completed, something like that. We had the text here, and I captured that. I store it here. So basically, when I store it, it's going to look like this, right? In our local variable when we looked at it. So that's one. And then after that, I said replace order, which is this order text with empty string. And then after I do that, my str string would be like little space in there, 98 completed, right? And then after that, I said, okay, replace completed. So basically, my text would be, it's going to replace completed. It will look like this, right? And then second thing I said, okay, do remove all the space before by using the trim. After that, it did just like this. So basically the str order number equal to 98. So Selena, you are correct, and whoever said str order number, Amit, and all of you. So basically this means 98, order number 98, and that will be storing in the data table order number, and which is here. So we already saw that. So let's run it again and do one at a time. So this is my comment. This is just a comment. This is just a comment to show how it's going to look like, and this is also a comment. This is a comment. These are my line. One line is going to replace the order. Second line is going to replace the completed, and third line is going to trim the space between before and after. So basically, I can write the entire thing in one line by saying, okay, trim, replace, replace. So order replace, completed replace to empty string, and then I said okay, trim to all the space before and after, whatever the number it remain after replacing the order and completed. So let's go comment this. So we going to comment it here. I mean breakpoint here, and then we'll see how it actually works. So you will have the understanding of the entire thing. So do we need to run the entire test, or we can run just this instead of running everything? So let's just run it from here. Let's run from step, because the departure is showing on that window. Okay. So let's look at what is happening here. We have order 99 completed. Now take a look at what happened. So we know the str order number should be equal to order 98. So in our case, it's going to be 99 right now, because that's what it's showing, right? And if you go to local variable, you see order 99 completed, which is like a line number 66. It's similar to this line. Now I'm saying, okay, replace order to empty string and store it into the str order number. Basically, I'm just storing whatever I'm replacing and storing back to order number. And then if I run this line, it will take the order number, order text from here with the empty string. Click on it. Now, once I do that, it's look like line number 68, right? Order 98 completed, something like, 90. We did the previous order was 98, so 99 completed, right? Now I'm saying, okay, replace completed with empty string and store back to the original str order number, the variable. And then if I run it, it's going to say it replaced, and it's saying, okay, 99 space before and after, and 99. Now I'm saying, okay, trim it. So it's going to trim it as it look like this, which is equal to this. Then saying 99. Now, since I already put the order number, so which is this basically, and it equals to this, I can see it. These are the three places you can see it now, but this basically means the same thing. Now, if I go back to my global table, it doesn't have anything. What would be the value in my global table now on the order number row?
99.
99. Okay. Anyone else has different thought? Maybe you thought something else? Confusion? Because the reason why I'm showing it, because you'll see some of the text you don't need it. You just need a specific text. So you want to capture it in this. This is one way of doing it, but there are several ways you will find when you practice and do practice with these tools, play around, you will know more of it as you go. But that's the standard way a lot of people do. So that's why I'm showing it. And that could be a multiple, interview question for replace the function, that replace a string. Right, let's go to the next line. So the value was 99, it printed and it exit out because we only run this section, so it doesn't do anything else. So since we know our value for the order number, we captured it and we store it in our data table, right? So let's remove this. I can leave it as it is, so it's easier for you to read later on. Now we're going to our delete order. So we know we deleted. Once we deleted, we get this text and we can say yes. And after this, we want to click on search order and make sure the order got deleted from the database. We want to verify. So let's add those comment, verify order deleted from database. The question is, we are not checking in the database. How can we know if it's deleted? So this actually tells us if it's actually deleted or not by looking at the order number 99. It tells, okay, it wouldn't throw an error if it's there in database. If we had that, order number 99 in our database, we shouldn't get that error. By that, looking at that, we can tell the GUI actually, working with the backend correctly. So we have to click on search button. So let's see if we have the search button add. So we have to say W. Can you help me with what would be my, if I want to click on the search, new search order? You can write it on the chat window if you feel comfortable with that. WFE app, right? And is it a web button? Is it a button or is it something else? Let's see if it's a button. It is there. So let's see if we have a source order, new source. So what was the text? Is a source order? Do we have that in our object repository? We don't, right? So let's look at the object repository itself. I'll save it and let's see if we have it in there. So let's click on there. It might be different name or something. And it's saying, okay, it's in there. It's not a web table. It's saying, okay, WP tab strip, right? Let's try it if we get something else. Okay. And if I click on there, it's saying the object name is tab strip. We have to use that one, whatever is available. So let's go back to our shared object repository, rename that as its name showing is a source order. Name it as what it's showing, so it's easier for us to read. And save it. So it is not we have to use this name WP tab strip. So let's move the WT tab, and it's saying tab. It matches with 2, so we are interested to select the second one. And then as soon as I put the first parenthesis, it gave me the name automatically because it's only one of them is available. That's why. Okay, now I can say dot. What would be the method I'll be using? If I want to manually do it, what I do here? Do I click or do I select? Or do I set a value?
Select.
Select. So what do? You click on it or you select here?
Click. Search order, select.
Select, right? Let me see if I have a select here. Okay, if I select, it asks me to the item number. What would be the item? What name I should provide here if I have to select? Remember, if you go to your application, if I were to select the departure location, select, you have to have a drop-down list with a name, some name that you can provide. But here, I don't have a drop-down. I'm just clicking on here. I'm just clicking on search. If you think of manual way of doing, you click on those. Wait, let's do a select and put search order, right? Whatever text is showing. So it's basically the same name like this here. I can just copy this and put it here and see if I actually pass that test as you're saying. So you can find the reason if it actually works. If that works, you can continue. Some applications supports the method, some don't. So did it actually select? Let's clear out everything and click on it. On. Okay. All right, let's try other one, right? Copy this. So we can use both of this, looks like, right? You can comment out this and say, click, and move it here. Make it smaller. Close our object repository. Run from the step. No, it didn't work, right? So the select is the right one to use. All right, so we got that worked. All right, next thing, after we select, what do we need to do if we were to click on the radio button, one of these, so order number. So we need to make sure if we have that in our object repositories. Let's see what we have. PF, and we get a bunch of those. So we have combo box, we have table, we have progress bar, we have a bunch of names. Let's see if the combo box is there, if it looks like this. If not, we have to add it in there. So in the combo box, we have these items available in our object repository: arrival, class, departure, flight combo box, and the number of tickets and number of tickets combo, couple of those. Okay, so let's spy it first, see if the class name of this combo box, the button. It looks like it's a radio button in web page, but it also says radio button in here. So I don't think we have it in the object repository. So let's do it this way here. Add it in our, remember we did it, you can also add it from the spy directly to your shared object repository. Click on plus, and it's got added. And save it. So now it's a number of by number radio group. So now we can say, if we go back, WPF control space, now it should give us the radio option here. See the radio options? We have by number. So let's say dot set or select. Can we say click? Okay, let's highlight it first. Let's highlight it how it's actually highlighted. So couple of ways you can do the object repository. Go back and highlight it. It's highlight this, right? What if I manually highlight this one, now highlight it? See what happens, because it still does the same. Okay, so it does select this specific order number. So we can saying, okay, order by number radio. So it's basically reading the number radio, radio button here. So you can say just click on that, because we cannot set anything on that specific radio button. So let's click on that. I'm just gonna unselect this one, see if it actually works. Okay, run from the step. Selected, right? All right. So next thing we have to add is, we can remove that. Don't need that. Next thing we have to type the order number here. So what we do, WPF, and the type, which object we should use. Is it a edit, or is it a select, or is it a, which one we should use? Just in a regular thinking, like what would you do? You want to type something, so it's editable. You can type something, you can use edit, and see if we have the order number. It's not there. So best thing to do always spy it, right? That's the main thing. You first do it, see what it actually do. If you spy, it's just saying edit and it's saying by number and saying some watermark or something, and you can add it to your object repository again. So this is the object repository we're using. Click on plus sign, and it's open up our object repository, and we can say save. And from here we can also rename it, right? If we want. So we can say order number. Just name it, logical name. So and we can also change for the others one. But you can do it on your own. Let's highlight it. Make sure that's a spy one. Okay. Let's go back. Now we have the order number is available here. So click on it. You can also make sure if it is working, because every time you write something, you want to make sure something works before you complete your test, and it highlights. And then what method I will be using here? Set? Is that what you said?
No, click first.
Oh, I didn't hear you. Can you repeat that again?
I would put click.
Select, you said, or set?
Click.
Click, okay. So let's say click. So what we'll do? But our goal is to type something here, right? 99, right? Or 98, whatever the order number we receive, right? So, okay, you want to click on it, make sure it get clicked. Okay, that's fine. You can do that. And then you can copy it. Okay, we want to first click on that object, make sure it get clicked. And then next thing, what I do?
Set.
Good. And set what? So set
order number 99.
99. So are we setting 99 here? Because next time we run it, we may not have 99. Every time it's new order number created. So we need to get the dynamic value every time it creates some order. So what would be my
dot star?
Dot star? Any order number?
Order number.
Order number? Is that what you mean? Like this? Because remember, when we book a flight, we store our order number in a data table in here. So can we use this? Can we just put this here so we get the order number from the data table whenever it's generated? We want to pass that value and put it in here. Can we do this? Does it make sense if we do that? Or we can just, if we know our order number, I mean, every time we create some order number, it creates a dynamic. Let's say 15 people using, at the same time application, all of us are placing some order. So we need to know, every time if I place an order, it's going to be 100. But in the meantime, someone else place an order, and Siddiq went to place an order. His order may not be the next one. It may be like after whoever the last person ordered, it's going to be the second one. So whatever the sequence is come, it will be that number. So it's hard to tell which order number to use here in order to verify. That is the reason why when we book a flight, we capture the order number in our data table, and we want to use that same order number to verify it is deleted from the database. Make sense? So let's test it out here. I mean, we're just gonna say instead of order number, let's put something here. Remember, we use something called input box. So let's use that function, input box, and I can say, let's move this to the side. We're not using that. So I can say in input box, I can say, please enter your order number, right? And I can provide that. So user input, whatever the value you want it, you want to use that. So leave it as it is for now. And then after we do that, we'll explain it more in this line 42. So let's continue the completion of our test. So let's say we said, okay, 99 was the order number we deleted. Next thing we want to click on the source, right? So it looks like the source is a button maybe. Let's see if that is a button. Let's see. WFE, and that's the button, and then click on it. Does it give me anything saying source? I don't see anything. It's saying new source. It doesn't give me just a source. So let's spy it. Everything I'm doing it, these are the things in work every day we are actually repeating every day. Every day you will be doing. That's why I'm doing it over and over. So you get used to all this. So let's, where is my application? My application was here. Let's spy it again and click spy this. So it's saying web and it's saying search. So it wasn't there. Let's select our object repository, make it bigger so we can see it. And this is our shared object repository and we are adding it, right? So once we click on it, it's gonna say added. So name itself, it matches. So we don't have to change it. We can leave it as it is, save it, and make sure it's highlighted. Okay. All right, let's add the other one also next, all of this. If I click on search and I get this error, I want to verify this text is showing. So I can add another object into it and saying, okay, order number, static order number exists. And I said error message. This is the error message I want to verify. And then once the verification is complete, I want to click on OK. So let's see if I have the OK button in somewhere. If I click on OK, here it's saying cannot locate. So it's not in that object repository. Let's add that OK. And OK is going to be there. You see that it belongs to the error dialog. If you click on error, it's saying it's a dialog. Class is a dialog and the name is error. So we can rename that error message name whatever we want. Since the name it matches with the application, we just leave it as it is. So we get this too. So what we have to do is close this spy and go back to your object repository, save it. So now the first thing we did, we wanted to click on source. So now I have the source is there. I can do that and I can click on it, right? Or I can select, as we know it works. So let's see if select works first. I mean, click works first. Then we want to, once we click on search, it's going to give us the something called dialog message, right? So let's see WPF. Do we have something called dialog? Okay, go back to our object repository. It's saying something like error. So you can either drop it here, and if you're not sure, you just drop it here. It's gonna say error, and instead of activate, we don't need to use activate. Activate is basically it's saying it is actually activated, showing it on the page. And the next thing, what else we can do in the error? I think it's something called a static or some other text. If you go back to your object repository, we just took this one, but we want to make sure this is shown here. So if you drag it here and drop saying static order number exists. So we need to verify this text. So let's take this line off, and we know this is started with the with statement, so we don't need that. The way you know it is if you right mouse click on it, it's going to say object property. So that means it stores in our object repository. So we can provide a if condition. We can say if this text exists, dot exist, and we can give like 5 seconds max wait time, then and close our if clause, and we can provide all this report thing. Let's do a reporter dot report event, and if this exists, what would be our status of the test. We want to pass it, right? Because we verified the error message. It shows that it is not showing, this order doesn't exist because we deleted that order, right? And then we can say step name is whatever step name, confirm, we can say confirm order was deleted from DV database. And then we can put more details. Deletion, deleted from database. If it's not deleted, we can put it out. If it's not showing it, if it's showing error, if we find a defect, we also want to report that, right? So reporter dot report event, and we want to fail it if it's not showing. And then we can put the same, this is our step, we can just copy the same step basically here, and we can say failed to delete from database, and we can put it into a string, right? So this is what we will be doing. After we confirm, we want to verify if it's actually, we want to click on it, okay, right? So that's the one we want to click on it, and that tells, okay, that test is completed. So we can just drag from the data table, or you can write it down by dialog box. So drag and drop. We know this line is not there, and remove it and click OK, right? And Control F7 if there is an error. Okay, so now let's run it from here, right? So we want to go click on the source order. Let's put it here and run from this line. Run from the step. So now we selected. See the line number 42. I said input box, please enter your number. So it's just to show you, example, like you can provide the number, whatever number you want to test it. And similarly, I mentioned about the data table on that number. It basically the same thing. So let's give a number. Which number you want to know if you want to delete. So give me a number that you want to delete. If you know it. Do you think 99 is going to be there? A number that is already deleted, because that's the one we want to verify. Make sure it is deleted. So let's give a number like the 98, right? And click OK. And it's saying completion, basically done. So the input, as soon as you provided that number, let's put it in a different way. So we know, let's put it before the line, so we know what actually this input box value looks like. So if I comment out this line as well, and I say I'm just putting into a string order number, right? Order num, something not similar, and then let's put it a dim here. And so we initialize the variable, and we provided the input box. And then can we use this as a, instead of input box here, can we say set this number, whatever the user input comes, it will store it in the order num, and then we are setting this value. So let's run it. Click on here. Okay, run from the line 39. Run from the step, and we have a breakpoint at the 42, right? Okay, it's just saying one or more breakpoints, not the line with the line. So okay, we clicked on it and we initializes our variable order num, and it has the empty value. So as soon as the user input, if I execute line number 43, by default it's whatever the number we had is. Just remove it. I'm just manually removing this number. I don't have any number. So now if I execute, it's gonna ask me to enter the number, right? So let's enter, like, let's say 1, right? If I say 1, see that order number, it's the value is 1 because I inputted that number. Now I'm setting that 1 in the order number, which is, it will type it here in this edit field. And if I execute next line, same 1, right? Click on search. Okay, what is my error message? I saw some error. Okay, yeah, this is the error. Now it's saying, okay, error message, order does not whatever that does not exist. This is the text that we are checking, because we know in our data table somewhere it's saying it identified by the static, but we need to provide some value, make sure this text is showing in the properties description, but it will still recognize by the window ID number. This also identifies the number and the native class. These two also provide the enough information to identify this text showing on the error message. So that will also work, but we need to make it more specific. So we need to enhance our script a little bit to make it more, and then click OK, right? So you guys understand that part, right? Input box and how I get that number. So let's go back to our, this order number exists, right? Let's open our object repository. And it is opening from the local, so I don't have the option to edit. So what I have to do, close it and go to my shared object repository, which is open here. So I can just go to the text that I actually had earlier, error. So I expand that. I have order number does not, I can just make it exist. And then here, I can basically say all these are showing empty here. Why it's showing empty? Because these are enough information to identify that object, and it is not showing, that pop-up is not showing. So that's the reason why. So let's click on again, and now it's showing. So it identifies those, it's the properties are available. So let's take one, that makes sense. So we want to make sure the text is also there. We can add that into our properties. So we know that this text is the, make sure all these three combination matches to identify this order number does not exist, to make sure this property exists and it is there, and click save. So going back to our input box, I gave some name, this is just to show you how you can actually enter at a runtime. So this is very inefficient because it's going to give a pop-up, and there is a manual interaction with the automated test. You don't want someone sitting there and putting the number. You want to do it automatically. Everything has to be done automatically, and you should be able to answer. Get that number.
I have a question on line 48, 40, on line 50, like else statements. So the question is, this line usually, if there is a pop-up message, the order does not exist. If there is a record to be deleted, then then it goes to the else statements. So not to be deleted, like meaning the record is existing there, the pop-up will not come up. So if we try to delete a record which is already available, and should become these statements in the else statements. So I think the message here, confirm order was deleted from database, is the same message is here. I think it should be different one. Like, yeah. So can you explain or make it correct, please?
Okay. So the question was to why the state name is showing as on the line number 48, 40, 50, 48 and 50, the confirm order number was deleted. This is like, if you click on here and says, it tells me report step name. It's just the name of the step. So we can say the confirm order was deleted. So that was my step. I want to confirm the order was deleted. As soon as I click on here, it's saying I want to confirm this text is showing as telling, okay, the order number is deleted, showing that is the step name. You can say is a, like when we write a test case, we provide some step name, right? So this is just the name of the step. You can, it should be generic to both, because whatever step you are performing, it should be the same as the other one. But the detailed information that you provide, the details, it should say deleted from database, and the second one says failed to delete from database. So I'm giving the more details, even the step number same, because for this test, the step number always same. We are doing it, for both. Does it answer your question?
Yeah. So for an example, if you have a record like 89, you are going to delete that record, what will happen? Meaning the pop-up message for the order does not exist to be deleted. So this pop-up will not come up, and then the record will come up as long as you put the order number there and charge. So this pop-up will not come up. So what will happen on the else statements? That's I'm asking you.
Okay, got it. Let's do a
Can I sorry, can I answer his question?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay, so Rakib, right? Hey man. So look, so if you have an order number that is existed, like let's say you put in an order number, take for example 85, right? And then you clicked on search, right? And then I'm sorry, can you go back to the website again so I could see? Yeah, right here. Search, yeah, on the search folder, right? On the search folder, you click on search folder and you click on the radio button, right? And then you type in, let's say you type in order number 85, right? And then you click on search. When you click on search, okay, give me a number that it's when you search, it says that it exists. Okay, if you get something like that, that's when the line 50 is gonna print. Okay.
All right, let's run that
so
line.
Did that answer your question? Like, did it make any sense to you? Rakib? Hello?
Order number 89, can you try? Or 90, which one is available to be deleted?
Okay, so now I'm the order number is the number that is not deleted from the database, because let's say we deleted order number 3, right? We know that order number 3 was not deleted yet. So if we said order number 3, and we know, let's say we assume that we deleted that order number, and we want to make sure it is deleted from the database. So let's enter 3, and as soon as we enter it, it still shows in the application saying, okay, order number got deleted. But the pop-up that we are looking for, it waited for 5 seconds and it went to the next one, right? And it's looking for the, OK button, because in order for this action to complete, we want to make sure it is there. The order number does not exist there. So it also failed here, right? So let's skip that line and see the report, what it did. All right. So let's go back to our reporting test flow. And does the order number exist? It's saying still the order number does not exist. Does not exist. But it still is saying green, pass. So let's go back to our, maybe that will answer your question. Did we say pass or fail? We said pass, right? We say fail here, but still it's pass. Let's try it again. Maybe we can fix that code because it could be a coding error. Okay, let's put a breakpoint right here and run it again. That's a good question, actually. 89. Okay. We have to click on new search because we have to see that is there. So it's giving us order 89, right? That was the number. So is the order number 89 was there? So it was never deleted. Let's see if it actually goes to the next step. If I say error dialog dot static order number does not exist. Remember that pop-up we are looking for? If I say next, it's waited 5 seconds, right? And now it's in the second line. It's saying mix fail. Confirm order was deleted from database. That was our step name. This is the step name for both of these because we want to confirm the order was deleted. And then if not, the details was to fail, print out this fail to delete. And then we can do like a lot of other, screenshot and more info in here, as we improve our test scripting. So it went to the next one because that pop-up was not there. And then here on the OK button was not there, so it's going to throw an error. It did not throw an error for line number 47 to 51 because we put a condition in there. If it exists, do this one, do the reporting part. So reporting part is nothing to do with the application itself. It's just the customized report, right? So skip. And now go back to our results. And if we go to the test flow, now you see that custom, it's a cross mark, it's not class check mark. So it's basically saying mix fail, right? And saying confirm order was deleted from database. That was our step name, and it's saying description failed to delete from database because that checkpoint was not there. Does it answer your question?
Oh yeah, that's confusing me. The test step you add on the first string, in the reporter event. So actually we are looking for the second one should be fine. So yeah, it's correct now. Thank you.
Confirm deletion. We can say that just put this as a step name instead of putting the entire thing. Okay, so both of them, and then deleted from database if it exists. If not, fail to delete. Print out this. This is a report. However way you want, whatever the steps you want to provide, you can do this. So now it probably makes more sense.
Sam,
yeah.
I think on line 50, it's just my opinion, I could be wrong. I think if you write confirm deletion dialog box did not appear or show up, it would make more sense.
Good. Yeah. So this is something I want to hear from all of you, because this is like a manually, as if you're writing test cases. Remember, we're just going to provide those steps here. Whatever we write, we can provide those. That's why it's good practice to keep a document so you can map to the automation, but you don't necessarily have to do this spreadsheet. So that's a good point to mention. Confirm deletion dialog displays, right? That's what the
No, I think it'd be better is a confirm deletion dialog box did not appear, and then on the top you could say confirm deletion box dialog box appeared or displayed. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah. Did not. Yeah.
Good. So that means you're paying attention, full attention. Good job. All right.
Thanks.
Anyone else confused about this? Are we good so far? Okay, so now we don't need that, right? We said, if we want to involve manual person to enter the number, so we don't actually want to use something that, some person sitting on the desk looking at, that input box pop-up comes, then he provide the number. We want to make it dynamic. Our script should not stop anywhere if we run it. So we can delete that line, or we can comment out, either way. So we know that our order number is coming from our data table because we stored it in our previous execution. So we can say, save. Let's see if we can actually execute the entire test and use the number dynamically created. So let's save everything and run our entire test from now. So we put a breakpoint at that line. So we are running our first action. You can say first test case, launch application, now logging in, and then it verifies if the login successful, then book a flight and place the order, confirm the order was completed. Now order number got changed, it's a new order, and order got deleted. Now we want to make sure it is deleted from. So if I go slowly on this, now it's saying set the order number. So basically set the order number. So where is the order number coming from? See, order number 100 is printed. How did it printed? If you go to book flight, remember we did all this mechanism, trimming all these order number text and taking out the complete and all these things we did right here, and then we store it in data table. So whatever we store it at dynamically, we stored it in the order number column, the first cell, and then in our delete folder, we want to use the same order to make sure it was deleted correctly. So every time you run it, it's going to be different order number. So now if I say click on set, it's going to set 100, right? If I had new number, next time it's going to set whatever the number. Now I'm just going to click on search, and that pop-up came up, and I'm checking if this text is exist or not.
Hey, okay. I have a question. To Rakib.
Okay.
Rakib, are you there? Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Sam.
I am here.
Oh, hey. So okay. So if Sam clicks into step into, right?
Could you repeat one more time?
Okay. Yeah. Can you? Okay. No, I think it's he already gave it away. Okay. So if Sam click the button right there, step into, right? So is he gonna Sam? I cannot see your line number. Can you move the window over to a little bit to your right? Hello.
Which line?
Can you move Can you move the window over, like the whole window, the UFT? No. Like window over to your right, the whole thing.
Make it bigger?
No. Move it over to your right.
This is my right.
Okay.
Line number is showing.
Yeah, I'm not able to see the line number. So move it over.
Because
Yeah, to the right. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay.
Okay.
So the question to Rakib, right? Okay, so if Sam clicks into the step into, right, would it run the line? Would it run line number 48 or not?
That
Hello?
question to me or question to Rakib?
Rakib.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Rakib, are you there? Okay.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, Rakib, can you hear me?
Hello.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I have difficulties with hearing. Yes, go ahead.
So if scan clicks into step into, right?
Yeah.
Would it run line number 48?
So this is a data, they are storing the value in the data table, right? In the global sheet. So if you are asking on 48, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in 48 is checking the dialog box. If the record is not exist, then it will pop up the message confirmation. Confirm dialog didn't appear because of the record is not deleted.
Okay.
That you asked?
Yeah, you'll see yourself when he runs the whole thing. That you'll see. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, Omid, I think I got your point. I think right now I'm on line 46, so I already executed that line. So that doesn't give us enough information telling whether it's going for line 48 or not. So line number 45, it's saying if the error message dialog box exists, then go to line 46. So we already came to 46 because our test already executed and it passed. It meet our condition. So this test is going to pass. But if we are before like in 45 and this pop-up error message was not there, then it would go to 48. We gave an example. So let's go back and run the test again and put a breakpoint and go slowly. Then we'll know exactly what happened. So let's run it. And I put a breakpoint on line 42. All right, so since we are on line 42 now, so line 42 is going to get the value from the data table, right? And let's clear out. So our order number is now 101 was deleted. So we want to confirm it was deleted or not. So let's go to next and then click on search, which is 1. So if I click on search, what would be the options I'm looking for? I'm looking to see if the error message shows up or not, the error dialog box. And if I had, like, let's say instead of 101, I had 1 and click on search, right? If I just had it, just give an example, if I just use 1, right? It's same thing. So let's remove that again, and because error number 101 already deleted, so let's put 3 or 89. I think 89 was not deleted. Click on search. And if I click on it, now I'm on line 45. Line 45 saying, okay, I'm looking for order number does not exist dialog box. And if I run it, it's going to wait 5 seconds and go to the next line, whatever condition I provided. So I said, if dialog box error message exists within 5 seconds, if it exists, go to line 46 and pass the test and provide all this detailed information. If it doesn't, go to else statement and report this to my report. So in this case, since the pop-up is not here, it's going to go to the line number 48 and it will fail the test. And basically it will fail all the steps afterward. So let's run it. Five seconds, gone, and it went to the other one. So if I stop it here and do the running from the 42, run from the 42, and now I'm going to do the opposite. And now I have to have something in the data table because I did not capture anything at my runtime, so it's empty. So let's give 101 because that's the one we deleted earlier, right? Let's say 101 here. Now I'm executing it. But before I execute it, I have to be on the other page, like here, and click on this because this steps we didn't perform anywhere, and then select the radio button. So select the radio button and basically set the value. So now I'm running it, next step, and it's give me 101, click search, and I should get the pop-up. So now it's going to say if the error message shows or not. If it shows, I want to pass the test because that was the condition I'm looking for. I want to make sure it's deleted from the database. If I say next, it went to the next line 46. I hope that answers any confusion to all of you. If not, let me know. I can go over with a different example. Make sure you understand this because this is something you want to do it like a negative testing. Make sure, or whatever the condition you want to do, check the error message. Is this clear to everyone, all of you? Since you guys are all good, I think everybody's up to date, caught up. So that is the test we did. We want to make sure our pop-up shows up and we can confirm that delete is completed. So that's so far we have written 4 test cases. One is to open the application. So if you click on the flight test, and it gives all the actions in order: launch application, login, book a flight, delete an order. So basically, we can say instead of delete an order, we can say delete a flight. We can say that because the application is saying delete an order, so that's why we say delete an order. We just want to map it to the application, make sure it makes sense to the other user. So let's run the complete test, see if we get it successful run. And our test is, we can close all this, and so this is our starting and this is our ending. So play, let's run it. So everything we have done so far using object repository, and this is something we have been doing last several classes, and we gave different example how you can use your test and modify it and apply some other conditions available, methods, all these methods available in the UFT built-in functions library. And the test is completed now. We can click on results, and and we can look at the testing flow. We have our report, custom report we created, and it gives us the confirmation. Delete dialog box appears and delete it from the database, and all this custom report is already printed. So if you see a green, that means your application without bug, no bug in there. You don't see it based on the test case you provided. If you did not cover any test cases in there, then that's something different. But you want to make sure you automated all the test cases for this application. If it's a good time to take a break, lunch break, and 30 minutes, and then come back after lunch, we want to go actually more details into this. And instead of action, we can convert this into a function. We will use a couple of those functions and try to enhance our script further. And if possible, we'll do at least one function using the descriptive programming, which we introduced in our last week classes. So let's, if it's okay with everyone, let's take a break. If you have any question, let me know before we take off for a break. Are you all good?
Yes, I'm ready for a break, man. Thanks.
All right, so it's right now it's 1:06. Let's come back 1:36. 30 minutes break. All right, we are back from lunch. I hope everyone is there. I also updated the spreadsheet. So far we covered 4 test cases. Let's do enhancement and create some functions in our test. So let's open my. Let's do some negative positive testing and store it in a function. Let me open my browser. I'm in the application. So now we can enhance our test basically. So we know that the object, the application was launched, and book a flight. We can add more scenario into the test. Basically, if we want to test the functionality of this application, make sure the error messages are displaying. If you want to do a negative testing or check the error message, you can enhance this script as you go. Make sure the cancel button works and it remove the application. So let's make some enhancement and create into a function. So we introduced function previously. What is function? And the functions is nothing, basically block of code. You can store it into a function, and function returns value, returns something that you want, right? Similarly, like function we use like a L case, U case, trim, replace. Those are the built-in functions. It created by the Mercury Interactive when they initially developed the HP UFT IDE, Integrated Development Environment, IDE. So this entire UFT is called IDE. You can, like, same as like Eclipse or IntelliJ or some other development, tools that out there. So this is also one of those tools that we discussed. So let's change something. This is our version 2. I think we created version 2 today, and we're gonna save our test as today's date. So save the entire test as, and we will be put it as a date so we know which date it is. Just put 4, 15, 18. So that tells us that we did the testing on that day, and we're gonna save it as the specific date. So if I put invalid username, John, let's say 1, I say 1 and click on OK, and put some invalid password. Let's click on OK. So if you want to verify the login failed, user is incorrect, this text, you need to make sure this negative checkpoints is available in your test. So you want to make sure this test is there. So the way we do it, we can create another action. Let's create another action, and let's call it invalid user info, right? Information. And user should be able to verify. User should be able to verify invalid username, name and password, or anything you want to provide as a description. So this is our test. Let's put some date in there, 04, and today is 15. All right, so now we created an action called invalid user, and we don't have the shared object repository, so we have to associate our existing object repository. So we have to locate the object repository folder, which is in our object repository location. So flight booking objects, and you can either use a relative path, which will convert the most of the path, like C drive, the whatever the location up until the automation, and it will just read it as a flight booking object repository. Click on no on it because sometimes the location may change, so it will take the entire location. You say no, as you can highlight it and see it from there, right? So purpose of this test is to.
Hey, Sam, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Can you repeat that again? Whatever you just did? Sorry about that. I missed it
Okay.
for a second. Thanks.
So I was creating another action. Let me delete that and redo this. So basically what I did, I saved my entire test as different name and basically the same name, and I provided the date. So all you have to do, go to file, save as, and put the different date. So in my case, I put 04/15/18 and I click on save, right? And it saved my test. Now I want to add another action. I want to add another action because I want to make sure the invalid input also provide the login failed, and it makes sure the application is capable of capturing the invalid error message, because you don't want anyone to log into your system, because otherwise the system it's not good with the bug. There is a error in the system if anyone can log in. For example, we gave an example with the Bank of America or any bank. You don't want anyone going put invalid username and log in. That's not good, right? So we want to make sure invalid credentials also throw an error. So we want to verify that as well. So basically we are enhancing our test. So we add another action, new action, and we gave it saying invalid. We can just say invalid user info, and we provide some details. Verify invalid information or verify invalid user credentials. And click OK and leave everything default, because we can reuse that action for other tests if we have to create one. And then update your header based on what you have been doing for the test. So you can provide all the info for the other user to know what information you have done so far. And purpose of this test, you can say, okay, verify invalid user credentials. You can say checkpoint checks and save it. So basically we have invalid user info action is created. We don't have that shared object repository that we have others. So we have to associate it with it. We can associate it by right mouse click here, and then it will give option to associate. And we have to select the, when I saved it, resaved it, it saved it here, but it's okay. We will move it later on after we close it. So let's say this object repository, and it will give you, do you want to automatically use the relative path, which is basically it will know that all my object is coming from this object repository folder, and it will just use the name itself. It will memorize the previous location of the object repository. That's what it meant. If you click on it, yes, it's just going to give the flight booking _ or.tsr. But if you say no, it will take the entire path. So let's use the no for this. And if you say check this box, this pop-up will not come up, and every time it will use the entire path. So let's leave it as it is. So it comes every time it comes, I can repeat that again. And once you do that, it's already added in my object repository. I mean, it's added the shared object repository. So shared object repository, shared with this action. So now I can add all this text showing in the on the pop-up that we are seeing. So let's click on this invalid static username and password. Click OK, and it's saying login failed is the name, and then this is the property name, incorrect user. We can say user info. And we also need to make sure that text is actually present in the property. So we can enable that also and save it. So now I can drop it here, and I can provide with a statement to make it more efficient. So in order to do this checkpoints and click OK, we have to add the click OK also into our object repository if it's not there. So we know how to check if it's not there or it is there or not by clicking on that locate in the object repository, click OK, and see if it's actually residing inside our object. It's saying, but win button, OK. Do we have that? We can know by clicking on OK, and it will give you a message. This object was not found in the object repository. So we can show that it's not there, and we can add it to our object repository. Click OK. So it's added, and then drag it here. So we added 2 lines. One is to check here, but we did not provide any checkpoints, right? Next thing, so we click on OK, we verify it's there. But before we do that, we have to provide the step invalid username and password. Is this already added in the object repository? This field, the username field. Can anyone tell me if it's already added in the object repository, and how do I know if it's there? So I have the object repository. How do I know? Can someone tell me? So that way I will know that you understood that part. Who wants to answer this? So I want to add this field name into my script. How do I know if it's already inside in our object repository or not? Did we add that ever? Anywhere here? I just showed you all how to locate inside our object repository. You can write it on the chat.
Are you asking for John 1? That's what you're asking about?
No, let's say there is no John 1. I want to make sure this field, username field, this field, username field, password field, this field, I want to make sure I already have this added in my object repository. If not, I have to add it. How do I know if it's
just by
added?
clicking on the next to the highlight button, the circle thing, next to it, right? Yeah, click on it.
And click here. Okay, I clicked on that. And what is the next step? Click on the.
What happened? Yeah, click on that. And add it.
Click OK. So it tells me it's added as a username in there because we renamed it yesterday, right? And if I highlight it, it's already there. Same thing, I can do that for the password, right? Make sure it is there or not. So if I click OK, it takes me to the password. These two already exist. So I can either select both of them, control, and move it here. Select, control, select, and then move it here. So it's 2 lines get created. One is for the username, one is for password. So in order to validate that, incorrect user info, we need to first provide the invalid username and the password, and then next thing we have to do is click on OK, right? So click on OK is enabled when you provide some info here. You type something, then it becomes enabled. So how do I know? Again, if it's okay is there, not. Two way we know by looking at all these, object repository, all these objects in the repository, basically looking at, okay, I see I have a OK button. So if you have like a lot of objects in the object repository, it's hard to find by looking one after one. So that's why we use something called locate in object repository. We are doing basically opposite. Instead of highlighting, let's say if I highlight it in here, it's highlight this, so that means it's there. The other way, basically, if you want to know if it actually exists in my object repository, you do it other way, selecting that circle and click on any object that you want to locate in the object repository. You click on that object and say, okay, so it goes back. Let's say I selected this one, or I selected this OK button, right? There is another OK here, but it's also saying, okay, I rename it, whatever it is. But if I highlight this, will it highlight? It's saying object cannot be found. So I'm not sure. I have two of them, not sure which one. This one belongs to the login failed window, which is a dialog box we came up. And then if I expand it, it has the OK button too. But not sure if it's the correct one I'm using. If I highlight it, it's saying selected objects cannot be found in the application. So basically the object was not in the application. So let's say if I click on OK here, now I'm looking at this OK button. If I highlight it, it's going to highlight this. So it distinguishes between the OK button here and the OK button here, right? So now I'm not sure if I did correct or not. So if it's the correct OK or not. So if I highlight it, it gave me an error. So I need to figure out where it is, which one I used it. Is it actually in my object repository or not? So again, locate in the object repository, click on that, click on OK. And if I click OK, it goes back to here. So it found the one inside my object repository. And if I highlight it again, it highlights it. So that's how you find it from the back and forth, from either from application or from the object repository. And then I can just drag it here. But if I don't drag it, I can also write the scripts, right? WPF control space, first bracket close, dot WPF button, because we know it's a button, and then click of the first parenthesis, and it gives me all the options, right? And basically I just select OK, click on it, and then my method will be clicking on that button, right? So we have this. These are the steps I need to perform in order for me to get the login failed error message, to make sure the invalid user cannot log in and should give an error. We want to test this feature. This is one test case that actually the test case would be user should be able to verify if invalid user credentials is provided. User should get an error message. We don't want any invalid user to log in to our system. If they log into our system, that means this is a bug. So if you test it out and you see that error message, that means the application works as expected. There is no issue with the application. If it did not, then you log a defect, tell the developer, send the report to the developer, tell them, okay, there is a problem with the application. You need to fix that before it goes to production. Production means the end user, whoever is going to use the application. The flight reservation, let's say you go to Flightline or Emirates or Kuwait or Qatar or American Airlines, those applications, there will be like you create an account, let's say, and you should be able to log in. And if I use some invalid username and password, if it's allow me to log into that application, American Airlines, then American Airlines will lose a lot of money, because anyone can log in and generate a ticket, purchase a ticket by that username, because that user has like maybe he stored his credit card information into that username, and so anyone can log in and purchase a ticket. That's hassle for all this, and they're going to lose all their customers, right? So you don't want that to happen. This is going to be a critical bug, and we don't want that to happen. So we want to test this feature, make sure it works. So our first step was to enter the username, then password. The username would be invalid username, and password would be invalid or valid. It doesn't matter, because if one of these is invalid, it should throw an error. If the username is invalid or the password is invalid or both of them invalid, we should get an error. And then click on OK, and the error message pop up. We want to make sure the error message pop up, and then we click OK. That complete our test. So how do we actually verify if this actually, we have to generate some report, right? So first thing first, we need to clean up our code, right? We have to do apply with statement, right? We have to go where? File or review. I want to apply with statement. How do I do that?
View.
View? Where? I don't see it.
Sorry, what was your question again?
Edit.
I want to clean my code. So I see that this line is repeated over and over for each line. But do I need to
Control
do that?
W?
I need to Control W. Okay, I press on it. Okay, good. So it's giving me the yeah, and then okay, right? So it created that with the statement. It also created another with statement for dialog box. Yeah, we can leave it as it is, or we can just remove, and because since it's only two lines, we can provide that dialog box like this. Let's say this line can be written also this way. So if I remove with the statement for the dialog box, all I have to do is take this out and put that dialog box before, and same thing for the OK button, because these two actually inside my dialog box. So this is basically the same line as these three lines. So, and the way you know if it's actually correct or not, all you have to do, if you are using object repository, right mouse click, and you will know that it shows the object is there, and you can click on it and see if actually dialog box properties are showing in the object repository. So that's another way. So just leave it as it is, and
You
okay,
can
now
also do it for edit format with apply with the script, right?
Yeah. Okay. So let's go back what we did. Let's undo all this. I'm just moving my code. Why? Right. This is my original code. So Brother Siddiq is saying edit. What else?
Format.
That's another way of doing format.
With.
Apply with, right? And then there is a shortcut for Control W, right? That's what Selena just mentioned. So you can do this way, or you can just if you want to do it faster, you just say Control W, and then that's basically say the same thing, right? You got that. Very good. All right. So now we have to provide the invalid data to make sure. So what is the invalid? Our username is John. I don't want to use John. So let's say, David, or let's say Siddiq, right? Siddiq, did I spell your name correct? Okay, and then password would be anything. I mean, PP or whatever you want. And then if we click on it, so let's put a breakpoint here, and let's open our application, and we remove all this. Run it from here. And then if we click on OK, and our pop-up came in, and it's gonna go here and saying just click on it. But clicking, does it actually tell us enough information? Just clicking on this info, although we have the object repository, but we want to report something, right? We want to provide some custom report for this validation. If I click on it, it's going to continue or fail. What is it going to do? Because there is nothing to click on it here. This is just a text like login failed. So it gave me an error message. Cannot identify the object, incorrect username info, whatever the information, verify that the object property matches in your application. So let's do a spy on it, or we can do, let's right mouse click on that where it failed, and then object repository, open it. It's in read only mode, view, and then highlight it. Then cannot identify the object property. So let's fix this. Login failed. Maximum logging attempts exist. What is this error message in our text points? See that? Is this text matches? Not, because we have been trying a couple of times. That's why this error message shows up, right? We can put that into our test also. Try a couple of times, then we should be getting that as well. So let's click OK and stop it. Okay. Now we're just gonna close it. It's a different error message we got this time because we have tried a couple of times. So the system actually gave us maximum time tried. That's why it exceeded maximum limit, and that is the reason why you get that error. Okay, so now we need to launch that app again. We can just run that script, or we can manually run it. Since we all are automation developers, so we're not gonna do it any manual stuff. Only when we develop the script. And I'm just gonna stop here and go back to my other script, which is the invalid username. Now try it again. See if we get the same error or not. So we entered Civic. Okay, so we got this is the error message we are looking for because that's what we used. This looks the incorrect username and password. So click on it. So it basically click on this text, whatever it is, and it's going to click on OK. And our test should be passed here. But this is not the way we want to report. We just don't want to click on it. We want to make sure we generate some report so that anytime error message comes, I mean, if there is a break, they break the system, there is an issue with the system, we want to make sure we report the correct information, right? So we can say in here, we can provide an if-else statement, right? We can say if, instead of click, we can say if this exists, we can put like 5 seconds, maybe maximum wait time. If this exists, then, do something inside. So what do we want to do? We want to generate a report. Remember, reporter dot reporter. Now it's giving me an option, reporter dot report event. If this exists, error message exists, then we want to pass the test. We know that we provided invalid user credentials, so we want to make sure the invalid information pop up, so our test is passed. This is like a negative testing you can do. And then we want to provide a step. So what would be my step name? Invalid or incorrect username. Correct user credentials displayed, right? So we can actually use the same thing, and for the details, Direct user sales displayed again. Basically same thing. And then if it doesn't, then we want to also report that as well as a fail. Basically, I can copy and paste it. You don't have to highlight it. If you put your mouse here and Control C, it will also copy the entire line. And I want to fail it, right? If it doesn't exist, pop up. And incorrect user information did not display because user credential doesn't exist, does not exist. Whatever you like to provide here, and this is going to be our custom. And so we have written this another test cases just now. So we did it in like how much, like 15 minutes. Sometimes when you're coding it, you probably will be given it 2-3 test cases to do in a day, or so it's once you get used to it, it's all about practice, and you will be able to generate all this pretty quick. Now I can say, instead of using the test cases, I know that this is something I can always check it. I can either reuse that action, or I can just write a function using this. I can put it into a function and call the function every time. So let's use a function here. And remember, we created a custom function. So the function started the function. This is a keyword, and once you press enter, it's gonna create an function, right? And give a function name. So the function name, we can name it as a invalid user credentials. I can say invalid underscore user underscore credentials, and I can provide parameters here. Whatever parameters, I can either use hard-coded it. So every time if I want to change it with a different value, so I can use that, or I can say, okay, user name, and I can also say password, right? These are the two arguments I'm going to use. And I'm just going to put inside the function library function. This is my function. Make it more neat. So now, since I have created this function, so all I have to do here, I can say call this function. I can say use another function, which is call is another function built in. And as soon as I say, I can put a bracket here, it's going to give me username and password. So let's say username this time, I'm going to change it every time I need it, right? Instead of Siddiq, I say Selena, right? And then password, let's say something, ABC. Now, if I provide this, it's going to still take that name. So can I say this, instead of Siddiq, can I say username here and comment out Siddiq here? And can I also say the password? Instead of password, I mean PP. So now every time I call, all I have to change it here. And so let's run this function once again. And we're going to move this into a function library, because you don't want to put your function inside this script, right? So let's run from the step. See? So you can do a bunch of different things. And you can also say, if this function, you want to return something, let's say you can say function is returning true or false. It's returning a Boolean data type, right? I can say this, if this exists, because I'm passing this, I can say, okay, this function can return true. If it's failed, I want to return false. Or whatever you want to return the difference between the function and the action is function returns some data. It returns a value. It can be a boolean, or it can be a string, it can be a integer, it can be a long, it can be a byte, anything you want. So if I want to, instead of, let's see if it actually returns something. Let's print out this, what it does return. Message box, right? And if I say, if you take up the call, you can just say message box. I want to run it and see if I get the error message. I mean the true or false, right? So in this point, if I put a breakpoint here, what would message box will say? So run from the step. Okay, so now this is what I am here. So this function is saying invalid user credential, and I pass two parameters. One is the username and one is the password. And I inputted those, and I clicked on OK, and it gave me the incorrect password and username, right? And if I execute the next line, it's going to say if this exists, it's going to go to the next line, right? And it reports. And now I'm on line 29, right? And if you go to local variable, it's saying that the function itself, it's empty, it doesn't have any value, right? So if I execute the entire line, when it comes to message box, once this function is complete, it's going to return something, as I mentioned, right? It's going to return either boolean or whatever we provide. In our case, we said it return true or false, if whatever the condition it meets. What would be the message box I should be able to see after this function completed execution? Anyone?
True.
True. Okay, let's see. As you can see, this function value became true because it passed, right? And I wanted to return true. Okay, let's click on OK. And if I click OK now, the function completed. So it returned me 2. And I said, I said a message box. Message box means give me a pop-up with whatever the value it was returned. The pop-up say true. Similarly, it is not necessary to provide true. So let's say if I, instead of true, I said, okay, if the incorrect password part, the reporter is saying, if this line number 27, it exists, I want to, instead of true, I said, okay, I want to return something else. I want to say, okay, verified, right? This means my test verified. And here I want to say not verified, right? And if I run it again, you will see the difference, the function, what function actually returned. It's saying the invalid username, which is function, and it has empty and nothing is there, right? See, it automatically captured that value, whatever the information I provided inside the function, and it type is string. Previously, when I had it true, it was boolean, right? Before. Now if I continue, click on OK, and just run to the next. This function return me verified. It returns something. So similarly, you can provide anything you want, so you can use the function. The purpose of the function to reuse them over and over. If you have, like, remember we created a function to open a browser previously, same thing we could do for anything we create. We can put our entire script, this script, into a function and just call that function. Same thing, we can do it for the login. We can just use the function and call that function. So let's create a function library first. How do we create function library? We can go to File, click New, if we don't have one. So for this application, we want to create new function library, right? And in here, you go to the function library or Control-Shift-N, it will create a new function library. Click on it. And it asks me to, where do you want to store your function? So we want to make it neat and clean. We want to go back to our desktop. In my case, I have an automation folder and I have a function library, right? And then we created a cyber boolean function library. Let's create a function that is specific to this application. So we can say flight booking, and we can the function library. What is the extension for function library? I'm looking for answer. What is the extension for function library when we create? Sean, you remember that one? Not the script. We said script is something else, right? We showed, but the for function library.
.tsr?
No. It's already giving me like 3 options. I can use 3 of those, but I'm interested with the, because what language we are using here? VB script, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly, VBS, right? And if I say create, now I have the function is created, right? So you can write everything here, paste it all your code that the function you created, and where is it? The invalid. Okay, here. So this is my function, right? If I move it here, just start it and paste it to flight booking function. And we have that function in there. So we can provide some information what this function does and all this info. Basically, we can say, okay, some, like coding standard. We can put some comment, function name, and then purpose of this function. You want to use the tab so it's aligned to each line, and then we can say, okay, input parameter. I'm just going to say input param, and output. What does this function actually provide me? Output parameter, whatever I get back from the function, this function. So I can say something here, and then you can say date it was created. And you can also say created by. When you write all this, it looks professional. When you start writing and start, at your work, your colleague comes to you and see you're doing this way. Okay, he's gonna look, oh, this guy knows everything. He's been, creating. So that's why we are showing it. Make sure, you understand this. And when you create a function, make sure you follow some steps that we showed you. And I can now say, okay, date is gonna be today. So I say 4/15/2018. I created this and created by. It's gonna be my name here. In your case, you'll be providing your name. And okay, let's begin. What is the function name? Function name is invalid. User credential. And purpose of this function. Can someone tell me why we are using this function?
So we can reuse it?
No, we can, the purpose of the function to reuse in general for all functions, right? But
yes,
for this specific function, because we are putting the header for this function only. Remember, if we create another function here, I'm going to create another header for that function as well, because this is for each individual function. So the purpose of this user, so we can verify invalid, right? Invalid credentials. This is the purpose of using. And what is my input parameter?
Username and password.
Exactly. You can just copy it and put it here. So if tomorrow Amit came in and he's going to use that function, so he doesn't know where is this function. This function is located in my flight booking function library, right? Inside that function library. Actually, let me rename that function library once again, because I think it doesn't tell me if it's a function by looking at that. So after the flight booking under whisper function, put name function keyword, so that way it's a function library. I'm going to change it in a bit. So what does that function actually return? So you can say return or output parameter. I can say return, and this function returns me something, right? If I said here, if I said, let's say, if I said true or false, right? I would just say, this function is return me Boolean. I can say that. Since I changed that, now I can say this function is return verified and not verified, or whatever you're getting back with this function, you just put that here. So that way, the whoever comes in next time, he knows, okay, this function gives me that, so I can use that. Same thing like, like remember we did something called uppercase, lowercase. We already know that ucase return me, uppercase string. So this is my custom function. That's why we have to tell the user what it does, because there is no option by, let me give you another way of telling here. So if I have a ucase, this is also a function. It is developed by some other people, and it's been using throughout the entire, UFT test scripting development, right? So how do you know if, what it does, this function does? Remember F1 key, there is a reference table that takes us there, and it tells us all the details about function. So if we want to write all this in our function, it's going to be a lot of things. So we don't want to go through, all this information showing in here. There are so much information you can get from this ucase, L case or something. So that is something reference. This is same thing as a reference header to my function library. So if someone say, okay, let's save it. If someone goes to my invalid function, this is my function. If I say F1, does it take me somewhere? Okay, I press F1, and in here, invalid username, it's not there, right? It's not in the reference table, because no one developed this one. It's not me is the one, I'm doing it, or my team, which is you guys. We all are doing it together. So we know this. So the only way we know, we have to go right mouse click, and we will say something called definition of that function, right? So right now it's not showing. Why it's not showing? It's not showing. It's not taking me to that function library. Usually when you right mouse click, it's a definition of that function. There is one reason. I want you to pay attention to this and tell me if you remember, how do you go back to that function library? So let's close it. Let's close this function. Is this function anywhere here? Do I have that function? I just close it. I don't, right? So remember, I have to go to the settings. Same thing we did for the object repository. We don't see object unless it is associated. Same thing goes for the function. If we don't use it inside our association, which is in this case, you have to go to settings, click on resource, and there is something called libraries. Enter and prioritize the function libraries you want to associate with your test. So the prioritization happens, which function library comes when. So whatever the first function it comes, it will be the one it will look in when you run the test. So basically, you click on plus, click on that dot icon, and it takes you to that all the functions I have inside my function library, right? We have one with cyber boolean functions and another one cyber boolean underscore functions. So these are basically both of them same. And I have flight booking. So let's rename this first. Rename this underscore function. I'm just gonna say function. So we know that's just a function library. And now I want to select that, click open, and it's gonna same thing. Remember the object repository, we saw something relative path. Basically, it's not gonna look at the entire location. If I say yes, it's just gonna look at the function library because it knows where the function is there. It memorized the location by default. But in our case, we want to say no. We want to use the entire location. And then you can say check the syntax if there is any error. And you can also set it as a default. And you can do a number of other things here. So let's say check default and saying syntax in all library files is valid. Since we have only one, but I think you should say, in function library. So it's looking at all the functions library you associated. And say OK, and you have to apply, click OK. As soon as I click apply, there is something is saying function library on the left. You can see it right here. And click on OK. We just associated our function library, the function library we created, right? So now, if you want to, yeah.
Question. So remember we did that. We created a cyber boolean functions, and then we picked it to be set as default, right? So every time we create a new test or whatever, it automatic associates the cyber the function from cyber boolean, right? That we created. So now I saw that today you just didn't click the field that says set as default, right? So now that if so how do I make it undefault now?
Okay, so if we go to settings, what Amit is asking is if we go to setting resource, and in our function library, if we click on select set as a default, so every time we create a new function, new test, it will automatically come with our function, test. That's what it meant. But if you want to unselect default, you just have to, there will be something called, remove it. You have to basically remove from your function library and then associate it again. It will be, not set as a default. That's what you have to do. So if I remove it, and let me do it, add it again, this function library, and flight reservation booking, click on no, and I say set as a default, apply, right? So let's say it's inside my solution right now, right? So let's say I'm creating a new test, and just name it as a GUI one, right? See, I just created a new function. Forget about the other one. Let's say we don't have this one. See, that function library automatically came with this because I set it as a default. Similarly, I'm just going to remove this and save it. And I'm just going to remove it, not from here. I'm just going to go to settings. You can do it also from here, but I want to show you the set as a default, move from there and remove that function library. I'm adding it. This is how you do it because the icon was, now if I say apply, I didn't click on that, right? I did not click on that. So, okay. Now I just create another action. Another test, new test. see if it actually comes. So now I'm creating another just GUI test 2. Still got it in there automatically. Okay, so the question was, that was a good question actually. How do I make it undefault? Settings, resource. If I select it, it doesn't give me an option to. Let me see if any other options available. Okay, I will find out how can I make it undefault, and I will get back to you. Okay, because I think there is a way of doing it. Usually I don't set it as a default because I use. If anyone else know the answer, please feel free to speak up.
I just have a question. Why would you need to do undefault? Why can't you just leave it as a default? When would you need it, Amit?
So let's say I'm creating another test case, right? This time around, I'm not testing the flight booking app. I'm doing something else, right? Right. So then I want to use different sets of function library. I don't want it to do anything with whatever we created for this one, right? So that's why. Because
so
every time
at that time,
yeah.
you know how you have option, and we go to the function library, we can choose whichever one we needed.
No,
that was my understanding.
Yeah, you can pick whatever you like, but then again, every time you create a new test, it gives you that function library automatically. Like I was just wondering if is there any way we could make it, click it as not default, and then when you create a new test, you wouldn't get it. You know what I'm saying? It was just like I know I can just remove it from there and then add another one if I like, but I was just wondering.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I think that option is not there because when you set a default, you are sure enough that this function is going to be reused over and over for any test you do. Basically, the default test, you'll do a functions that you use. It can be used for any applications. Like, it doesn't have to be flight reservation. Remember, we created a cyber boolean. The open browser, it can be used for any application, any browser application. So you want to set that as the default so you don't have to re-add it. But if you want to remove it, all you have to do, come here and remove it from here. Or you can just, right mouse click and remove it. So I think that option is not there because I haven't seen that undefaulted probably, but I will do my research and find out if that option is available. I never used that option. So far, we create that associated our function library. So now, let's say I came in. Remember, we say F1. It doesn't have for us. So for custom function, you have to right mouse click. And now you see that option saying go to definition. You can say control return. And as soon as you click on it, it's going to take you to that function. And you can reuse it over and over. So remember invalid user. Now I can provide anything. Now I'm saying Amit, and any user I want to test it with. I can test it with bunch of user. I can loop it through, many user. If I have 100 users, I have, let's say I have 100, invalid users. I want to test it, make sure none of those allow me to use login. So I can use a loop and provide all the data into my data table or database, however you want it. So that's reusable. So you are not rebuilding the same function again and again. All you have to do is provide the data you want to test it and run it as many times as you want. So let's say I'm right now. I don't have to go back to my function library to change this value. All I have to provide this info here, right? So what he said, it's saying not verified. That means our function test is failed. Why it failed? Is the application open or not? Let me look at it. So our object repository. Let's close the object repository and I don't think our application is open. So let's open the application. Now we can actually copy this, also create a function for this open launch application, right? We can also do that, but I want you to play with this, you know, creating more functions and using it, using the concept we just covered. And let's open it, open my application again. Okay, I'm just going to stop. So I'm just going to test with the function if it works. Our function was not here. This is our function library, invalid user. That's why I call that function invalid user. Right mouse click, run from the step, which is you started from the function, and it should put Amit and give invalid value. So the test passed because the pop-up message came up on the application, right? Let's see, okay, right here. And it clicked on it when I did that. Maybe it doesn't make sense, or does it make sense to all of you? If not, I can just run from as a debug statement and show you once again how is this function actually working. So I ran from as a debug, and let me move it to the left and move it here. So I put a breakpoint here, automatically create a breakpoint, and then I'm just going to go to the next step into. It took me to the function library, and it got the username and password, and the function itself is saying empty. It doesn't have anything. Basically, it's going in there. Username is Amit, which is already there. Password is PP, and click on OK. So the pop-up is right here. Incorrect username. That's what we want to verify here, if it exists or not. And click next, and it passed, and also it's returning verified string. And that's how we get the, click on OK, and then verified right here. So function returns the string verified, and we wanted to put it into a message box. The message box is coming because we call a message box function before our function to show up that text. And similarly, if I wanted to just say, you know, instead of message box, I can say print, and it will print it on my console. And that's the basically way of doing the function. And similarly, we can do the functions for all of the tests we did, but we have to make sure, is it reusable or not? If it's reusable, then you can use it, and, you know, over and over. So we want to, I want to stop right here, and I want to answer any question you have so far as of now, and then we'll continue in the next session. And I also want to get some of you to volunteer for the mentoring session. Basically, whatever we covered as of now, from the very beginning, first class of UFT till now, choose a topic or choose an application, whatever you like to, and do a like 1 hour presentation. Like that way you feel comfortable, like, you know, how much you learn and how much you can explain it to others, because this will help you for the interview preparation. So when you explain it, I can, if I watch your presentation, I would know, okay, you are ready to go to the market. As of now, whatever we covered, this is enough information for anyone to go face the interview, even before you do a framework. By the time we'll just enhance this to complete our framework, so you will get that. But you have to do the mentoring in order to justify, you know, where you are at, how much you learn. It could be like record and playback. It's just a simple, but at least, you know, I want you to at least, you know, go and show others how much you learn and explain it to others. So that way, you know, we are repeating things over and over, and it will be, you know, it's going to be like our memory, you know, muscle memory. Like as if you start driving the first day, and then as you drive more and more, it's automatically, you know, residing inside your memory, you know, muscle memory, and you don't have to like go slowly. You know that where to turn, when to stop, when to slow down. So same thing goes here. As you practice, the more you practice, the more you will get out of it. So, you know, I need a volunteer for tomorrow evening, like around 7 p.m. and Tuesday, someone can volunteer. Let me know, text me, or you can confirm it now, or you can email me, text me, and say, okay, yeah, I want to do 1 hour presentation for record and playback, or I want to do at least a login functionality for any application. So raise your hand or let me know. Either way, if you want to let me know later on, that's fine also. But if you let me know now, one of you, that would be awesome. And that's way you can actually confirm how much you learned. Anyone is available for Monday and Tuesday evening to do 1 or 2 hour, basically you will be doing practicing, and whoever join on the session, they will see what you're doing, and you will become a presenter and to show what you're doing. So let me know if you want to let me know now, or you can get me later on in the group message.
I will let you know later on today.
Thank you. And any questions so far? Are you good? Shamam, Sean, Brother Siddiq, Akhtar, Rakib?
Not much questions. Probably I just have to go through the video again to for some things that I missed. So that would really help when I go through this session again.
Okay. Yeah, make sure you practice everything, and if you confuse anything, feel free to are you on the chat window, the Google Hangout?
I am at the chat window.
Okay. Yeah, put anything you get confused, any question, simple question, you don't want to wait like 3-4 hours to get it resolved. So just put that on the chat window, and we should be able to answer it, or anyone in the team can answer. Even whoever already advanced in the automation so far can answer the question as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Sure. All right. If no other question, can wrap up today, and video will be uploaded at whenever it's ready, because we have to do the formatting and converting to lighter version. And if you have issue viewing the video, let me know also, and we will meet again next class. But also try to join the group sessions and the mentoring session that will be starting this week. So make yourself available whenever you can, and have a wonderful rest of the day, and take care.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.